Hi, everyone. I'm Bethany. I am so excited to be here and join you all for this summit. Just checking to make sure I actually went live over here, so don't mind my wandering eyes. I'll shout out some hellos to everyone and apologies for the delay. My mic decided not to connect. And so, it's kind of important to hear me while I talk. So, yeah. Anyways, I'll just jump on into it. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Lena. There's lots of people to say hi to. I'll catch some highs here. Sorry if I miss people, but I hope you were able to catch my project, which was the sublimation mug. And I came up with this idea. This is actually literally my first non-regular sublimation mug. I posted to my own YouTube channel at Baby Production Studio this afternoon. Yep, it was this afternoon. That I had. I've had this Cricut mud press sitting on my shelf in my closet right behind. That's a walk-in closet right behind me. But it has all of my supplies, all of the tools I use, and it has been sitting there for nearly 3 years, maybe more, maybe a little less. I don't honestly remember how long, but my family had bought me the mug press, and I was already well into sublimating tumblers at that point. So the mug press just kind of sat there for a little while. And then when I was asked to participate in this, I was like, perfect excuse to use the tool that I've been wanting to use for forever. And so this was the first of now several projects coming down the line. I have several designs that I am putting together, and maybe I'll film a few and throw it up on my YouTube channel at BB Production Studio. Where is that? Right there. Wait, right there. There we go. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section. I will try to get to them. What has been your favorite project so far? That's a question I have for everyone. I've caught a few here and there. I have not been able to watch all of today's free projects yet, but I am hoping to just go down the list and learn as much as I can. Even though I teach a lot of things, I still always find I learn from somebody somewhere doing something just a little bit different than me. So I'm going to just keep talking about me. So you can see my, whoops, wrong direction. I'm opposite, so you can see my Cricut mug press here. It is actually currently hidden by another sublimation project, which is sublimation coasters, which is one of the best sellers for me because they're so, I wouldn't say so cheap, but if you have a good design, they sell really well. I am an avid sublimation project seller. So when it comes to the infusible ink sheets, they're really great. I love using these for simple and fast projects where I don't want to have to do a lot of design, and it's kind of washed out because my light is really hot, but that is some infusible ink if you can't see that. This is actually my favorite pattern that they currently have. But I have used these more often for t-shirts, especially when there's a t-shirt design that's super simple, 2-color, 1-color. I've used the infusible ink versus using HTV because it's a little bit more permanent. It's not as permanent, or I wouldn't say it's not as sometimes bright as if you're using oh my gosh, now the word came out of my mouth before I could say it. The regular printing, t-shirt printing concept, which is I can see my machine in the garage. Well, I'll figure that word out in a minute. Kelly says, I'm going to try the sublimation sheets on some shirts. That is a good project to start on. I started on the shirts first myself. Screen printing. Thank you. Yeah, my brain was not catching up, and the chat on my phone is not catching up to the chat that I see here too. So anyways, yeah, I have not dove into screen printing, but using infusible ink is the closest thing to screen printing. So HTV, you have the chance of ripping, you have the chance of not pressing long enough. You're using a already washed material and you don't know that it has a layer or a coating on it. There are all different factors that could take an HTV project from really great the first wear to not so great by the third or fourth wear. Also, if you don't have great product, a really good product to start with, like I've worked with a lot of products throughout the years, and not all of them are great. And I've learned the hard way sometimes. And now I've found really good product lines and I stick with them and I eliminate as many problems with HTV. But when you use the infusible ink, you eliminate a lot of those problems, the ripping, the tearing, the overpressing, the underpressing. A lot of that goes away because this is very straightforward. Um, Kelly says, I don't have a mug press. So there are ways to do something like this with the infusible ink using, it's hidden behind the shelf here, but using the smaller mug press, or sorry, the smaller heat press. It takes a lot more patience, a lot more accuracy, but it is possible to do. My first t-shirts that I used the mini press, the mini heat press, the Cricut mini heat press. I used that for my first couple of t-shirts because it was just a small logo, a 2.5 by 1.5 inch logo that I was pressing onto shirts. And so that's what I used. And I just made sure you make sure you're trying not to move the press, that it's firm, that you have pressing pillows. I use my parchment paper a lot. I also use the Teflon sheet. Yes, Kelly says, always learn from your mistakes. Agreed. Definitely. Question. What else can you make with a sublimation oven? Oh, goodness. The sublimation ovens, literally anything you can tape sublimation paper to or infusible ink to, you can do that. If you watched my video, I believe I said it in my video. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I actually use a regular kitchen oven that we had extra in our house that wasn't being used except for once a year for Thanksgiving. And I said, well, let me use this to make products instead. And I use a kitchen oven on the convection setting. I use it for the sublimation tumblers. Those are the most popular thing. Obviously the sublimation mugs. There are Cricut hacks to use the Cricut mug press to make the sublimation tumblers too. I have not done that, but a close friend of mine she may even be in the chat today, who knows. She has used the mug press to make her own tumblers. You're a little bit more limited with your designs. You might not be able to do a full wrap because you have the ability to potentially make more lines and have more ghosting, but there's a lot of different projects. The majority of them are going to be with your oven. They're going to be things like a mug or a tumbler. Mostly because if you're doing things like a car coaster, if you're doing, there's sublimation slates. It's coated slates. Those need pressure. Like this needs pressure. If I don't use pressure and I just put paper on it and heat it up, it's not going to work. As cute as I as quaint as that sounds, your pressure is the paper taped to it. If you have the mug press, the pressure is the mug press. If you have this, your sublimation paper or infusible ink goes on top, gets taped, and you want to make sure that it has enough pressure to allow that heat to infuse into the product. Um, I missed a question here. Can you cut the infusible ink with scissors or a punch? Yes, absolutely. I suggest if you do, make sure, because scissor cutting, you're going to not be as accurate in terms of size, but it is always possible to do. I moved it over here. Give me 1 second. But I really, really love using the clear it's clear heat tape is what it's called, but I get it off of Amazon. It's fantastic. I use it very, very frequently. You can see I have like little random things just placed everywhere. um Definitely one of the best investments I made, because this will cut it into little bitty strips, which are perfect for things like the coasters, which are, I would say, my number one item I make to sell. My number two item would be my tumblers. I use probably easily 20 bits of these. So having this wheel that will cut it for me down to size is super helpful. I know I used it in my video, and yeah, it makes things go a lot faster. So investing into small things like that are a really great idea. I know that I don't have to use tape necessarily for this, but I always recommend it because it's not going to leave marks if it's clear. If you have the yellow, which you see, I have a spare yellow here in case of emergencies, that, it's something that I just need to tape down. I don't necessarily need to worry about any color coming through on it, or it's going to be such a short heating and pressing time that the color isn't going to have enough time to come through on it. I've seen people use red, and that red heat tape will get through to your piece that you're working on. Definitely if you have it for too long or too hard of a press. Yeah, it's like, oh, question, Debbie. Thank you. Hi. How much do you sell your coasters for? I usually do, if it's a single coaster, it's $3. If it's a double pack, it's anywhere between $4 and $6, depending on what sale I am doing. I think right now, even on my online shop, I want to say I'm selling them for 4. I don't know. But sometimes, like, I'll get a really great deal on Amazon. I know Prime Days are coming up. So if you're looking for some really great sublimation tools or sublimation materials, Amazon Prime Days, check it out. I Several times I've just bought in bulk because I knew I was going to need it, because Prime Days kind of lands right in the time where I start making a lot of product, because basically from the end of September to the last week of December, I'm basically selling. So I have a short window, basically middle of July through middle of September, where I am just making and making and making. So, yeah, it's definitely something that I think this is one of the products that goes on sale every Prime Days. So I do believe, I don't know, Erin, if you have the page, but I believe I had the links to this. So if you put it in there we go. If you yep, there's the supply list. Thank you, Erin. If you throw it into your cart and then save for later, it'll give you an alert when it has a price drop. That's the cool thing about Amazon Prime Days, is there are certain things. I actually have a small list by my computer and it has a list of things that I'm looking at and I want to like price compare and all that. So what I'll do is I'll throw it in my cart and then I'll come back and look at it later. The supply list here that you see, those are my exclusive links, just a way to help support me and my family. definitely check them out though. That heat tape dispenser, I mean, it's a lifesaver. It's helped me from cutting my fingers sometimes. I used to individually cut these little bits. So having that ability to not have to painstakingly cut 20 pieces for every single item I'm doing just saves me so much hassle. Um, and the other thing too is I use it has a link for the clear heat tape, which if you're ever gonna do sublimation, just get the clear, don't get anything else. And that the company that sells that specific clear heat tape, I actually have them on auto order because I run out like clockwork every year. Specific times of the year I'll run out. So I have it already set up. So it, like, I think last year when it came, it showed up 2 days before I ran out. I opened the package immediately and I was like, all right, keep going, keep going. So things like that, if you see that auto order and you know you're going to be making a lot of things, go ahead and get that extra. Usually it's either 5 or 10% discount. Companies love when you know you're going to be making a lot of the same thing. If you do that auto ship, they'll reward you with a little extra discount, which is nice. I see Kelly has another question. Do you need the heat tape for shirts also? For using a Cricut Easy Press? Absolutely. My cart here is covering it up, but I have a really large auto press. It's the HTV Rent version, not the Cricut version. But I anytime I do a shirt, I always use the clear heat tape. Mostly because it definitely makes sure that your pressing time isn't adjusted because your paper shifts, and you end up with ghosting. Um, I It's been a trial and error when it comes to that because I used to try not to use the heat tape because I had seen people with projects where the heat tape left marks, and then I realized it was because they weren't using clear usually, or they were pressing too long and not enough high or not enough heat. And so they and sublimation in general, there's a lot of trial and error. Um, I will tell you, if you check out my YouTube channel, I did actually film the first time I ever did sublimation. And I also filmed, I have an Epson printer that I converted to a sublimation printer. I also have that filmed as well. So if you're like, I want to do this, I want to try this, for real without the budget cutting version, there's that opportunity for you to learn that too. But definitely check that out if you're like, I like the infusible ink, but I would like to have a bigger, better design. Um, Go for it. I obviously started myself with the infusible ink, fell in love with the concept, and I am a graphic designer by trade. Technically, I didn't get a degree in it, but part of my degree, I had to take a lot of graphic design classes. So I'm unofficially self-taught and then taught later in school. I don't know if that makes sense. But I like the opportunity to create my own designs. And so what I show in my tutorial is a version of that using Cricut Design Space to create my own limited tutorial or limited design. You know, I can only do so much, obviously, but that same concept is what I use for when I'm designing big designs, like the car coasters. This is a design I actually got off of Creative Fabrica. A lot of times I'll see designs that I really like a lot. I have a subscription to their platform. And what I'll do is I'll take what they have, adjust it to what I need, edit it in my software. I use Photoshop a lot of times. I also use Illustrator, and those are my mainstays, but you can also use a lot of free versions. I think Inkscape is one that I've used a few times just for quick trying to figure out if it's, worth investing into bigger platforms. Yeah, so Any more questions? Otherwise, I'll just keep talking about myself. I am a mom of 3 littles, ages 4.5. Actually, she'll be 5 next week. It's a big deal in this house, which reminds me I should actually start designing her birthday t-shirt. Whoops. She has a very specific request, and I have to design a little bit. So I will have an almost 5-year-old, and then I have a 3-year-old who's almost 4. She'll be 4 a little less than a month from today. And then Kelly says she's done. And then I have a 2.5-year-old little guy who is bossier than ever. And I'm sure he's going to be crafting right along with me when his sisters are both in school in the fall. Yeah, so I do that. I co-own a crafty business with my mom. That's actually her workstation. This is probably the cleanest it's been in a couple months. She does a lot of sewing, and I'll help her pick out her designs. Sometimes we'll collaborate. I'll do the sublimation design, and then she'll do the sewing and stitching together. She does wood burning, so we have an X tool in the house, well, / garage. We have a lot of different projects that I have in queue to put on my YouTube channel to show you tutorials of all the different things we do. Etching is something I do too. I also co-own a business with my husband. He does a lot. He's a serial entrepreneur. He does he has his own YouTube channel with his own educational platform is where he is aimed at. And he's also currently developing an app, which I'm helping him do and promote that, which is really fun. So my life is generally always go, go, go. And then it's even more fun when I have tomorrow will be our last day of summer school, but I have a lot of shuttling back and forth from school and other events. So yeah, life is full. And so crafting is kind of my decompression time, but it is also necessary because I made a business around it. And my mom and we tag team on a lot of things. We give each other a lot of opinions. I mean, like majority of all these designs, I pass by her before I say, hey, does this look good? Is this, is this going to sell? Do I need to plan on putting it on discount immediately? Stuff like that. And she does the same for me. You can see there's a few products up there behind my head. And I sell Mary Kay too on the side too. So I can't call myself I shouldn't call myself a serial entrepreneur, even though technically I have four businesses to my name. I would call myself a reluctant entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since 15, had my first advertisement that I produced and edited when I was 19, I believe. Yeah, 19. And so on national TV, no less. And so I've been in the industry of the graphic design, the selling, all these different aspects. And so, if you have a question, I've probably done it. And then one of my other jobs, as if I don't have enough jobs, I'm actually the CFO of a company locally here in Wisconsin. And yeah, that's literally what I did. I wrapped up with them about roughly an hour ago and started prepping to be on here. So I am their CFO. I run all their financials. So if you want to start a business and you have a lot of questions about starting a business, I can also help you out. I do plan on eventually teaching a class about it because obviously if you've never run a business before and you want to sell stuff that you make, there's a lot to learn. And so without drowning into the concepts of everything you can learn about it, you can hop on my channel and ask me those questions. Ask me those, like, how do I sign up for EIN? How do I get a seller's permit? How do I, there's lots of questions when you want to sell your own stuff too. So, and I've been selling my own stuff. A long time. We're not going to put a number to that because thankfully I look a lot younger than I am. And I also sell Mary Kay. So, lots going on. Lots always. But yeah, full life. And I enjoy every minute of it. I really can't complain. I just have to keep plugging away. Yes, there's a reminder from Kelly to hit that like button. And yes, Joyce, I do have a lot going on. Definitely don't sit still well. I sleep very well. I can't say I sleep very little. I'm more structured lately. This last week was a little stressful, but other than that, I generally get decent sleep because I set my boundaries and make sure that, hey, I'm getting what I need when I need it. Oh, Debbie says, I miss you. How are the littles? And will they maybe making a cameo tonight? Nope, they're hanging out with Grandma and Grandpa tonight because they're just, one is in PJs already. A little early, but tomorrow is her last day of summer school. So she's really excited to get to her last day of summer school. So no, sorry, no littles crashing, but I'll make sure on my YouTube channel, one more plug on that. Wait, there. One more plug on that. I'll make sure that I will have them on soon. I was hoping to do a live this week, so we'll see if I can get a live out of them sooner than later. I also do a lot of paper crafting. I am sitting in front of a dream box right now, and I would say about 85%. Yeah, 85% of the dream box is all crafty stuff for paper crafting. So a lot of stamping and things that are my own designs and things that are a lot of other creative artist designs too, which I have high hopes that I'll be able to publish and post some of those designs and offer them on my website soon. Currently, my website is just strictly a buy for me website. And I think I should have links at my YouTube channel for that, as well as a shop discount. But if there's anything that you've ever seen me use on my YouTube channel too, feel free to ask for a link because I am now starting to go back and go, oh, I never linked that. Oh, I never linked that. So I know a lot of people like some of the stuff I use on a regular basis, but finding links is harder sometimes because I know when I see someone use something really good, I type it into the search button and I don't have it takes a while to weed through and figure out what exactly they used. There's a question. Any tips on using Cricut sublimation ink? My biggest tip is the clear heat tape. The second biggest tip is just make sure you measure your materials because it's very easy sometimes to mismeasure. So this one, if you watch the video yet, you'll see I use that little tape measure, which ironically I have sitting here on my desk. I use the little tape measure to make sure that my margins, in graphic design, that's what we call them, margins, but making sure I have enough margin here where it doesn't look like it's going to overlap or bleed onto a part that I don't want it to be bled onto. It definitely takes a little bit of finagling. Like I said before, sublimation is trial and error, so don't be afraid to mess up. And it looks like that is my time here. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you are enjoying the summit and learning lots and lots of crafty information that you'll keep on. And don't forget to check out my YouTube. I also have Instagram at BB's Boutique and Things. And that's it. So have a wonderful day. And this is my sign off. So don't forget to find the joy in your day and happy making. Bye.